Hey, yo, GMP fans. I don't know if you know this, but I heard that Rambo's a big wussy. But you know who isn't? Tango, because we're covering Tango and Cash.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Yes! Wait, just make sure you get that in the wide. Boom! Manly! We clasp fingers because we are men when we high five.
Not only clasp fingers, but I've never seen two people high five with opposite hands before.
Never!
And they did it twice, and it was the best.
Fantastic. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Guilty Movie Pleasures. We are covering Tango and Cash
Both
this
of
week.
them.
Yep, both. Not Tango or Cash, Tango and Cash. I'm your host, Ben Begley. You can find me at the Ben Begley and all the things on Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff, and also on MySpace.
Ooh.
No, I don't even remember how to log into that.
Ooh, but I bet you're there.
Somebody could have just hacked my account and just started putting awful shit up there, and I would never know.
It would not be the first account of yours that's been hacked.
It would not be. I saw that. Yeah. Anyways, we don't need to get into that. Yeah, here's my co-host, as always.
Hey, I'm Jesse McIntosh. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TooMuchJesse.
Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome.
Note to self, if your Twitter account suddenly starts befriending porn stars and liking hardcore videos, chances are someone hacked you.
Maybe.
So,
Maybe. Or you've made some choices in your life.
Made some choices, you know?
That's right.
Hey, you can befriend porn stars. There's nothing wrong with that.
They're
You know?
very nice people.
It's a free country.
Yep.
All right, so we're talking about for now. Okay, first off, did you see? No, this is totally off topic. But did you see the ballsy Purge poster that came out last night for the?
No.
They have a prequel for the Purge. If you haven't seen this, I won't get too into politics, I promise. But this blew my fucking mind with how ballsy / incendiary I think you could use. They're doing a prequel for the Purge this year, July 4th weekend. They did Purge election year during July 4th weekend, and now it says the first Purge, and it's just a white background with a red hat, baseball cap that says the first Purge on it, and it's like that is so ballsy.
Wow.
Like, and just read the comments. There you go. Are you showing it to everybody right now? Oh my God. When I saw that, I was like, this is fake, right? There's no way Universal and Blumhouse had the balls to do this. On the night of the State of the Union address,
how about that?
They dropped this.
How about that?
And then there's a teaser. There's a 30-second teaser that feels like an ad for the GOP. And it's like your kids will thank you. And one day you'll be proud because your son turns to you and says, "Dad, I want to purge too." And you're like, "Oh my God, it's so scary." I'm still kind of shaken by the somewhat terrifying reality.
It's blending more and more into our real life.
Yeah. Anyways, that was totally off topic. I don't know how I thought of that, but whatever. I thought of it, so it happened. We're talking
really a loose conversation we're having.
Yeah. Hey, back to the show. So Tango and Cash has been requested probably more times than any film.
At least twice.
Which means we just. I think at least 4 times. I've seen it 4 times.
You're right.
And I don't know how. I thought Josh and Steve back in the day already did it. I didn't actually double check. I hope they didn't, but who cares? We didn't.
I don't care.
I realized I'd never seen this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I had never seen it, because it has 2 stars that I think are fantastic. So what was holding me back? But man,
should we get into that? What was holding you back?
I don't know. I think there's so many Stallone films, and I'm working my way through all of them.
Okay.
But there's no excuse.
No.
And now that I've seen it, there's my life before I saw Tango and Cash, and there's my life after, and I will never be the same, because this movie is hysterical. It's awesome. It's everything. It's every single cliche that I love about 80s action movies crammed into one movie and then turned up to 15. It's the fucking SUV with machine guns with the weird dude that always has a magnifying glass in front. Who looks like Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life.
Sure.
It's so weird. Everything about this movie is bizarre as shit and awesome. And like, they didn't give a fuck. It feels more of a parody of action movies than Last Action Hero, which was a parody of action films.
Yeah, it does.
It blew my mind.
It felt that way because literally every single line is a one-liner.
Yes,
every
like
single
the whole
one.
script was all just one-liners.
It was what they set out to do was create a movie built entirely on one-liners and things blowing up. And that was it.
I'm gonna just jump into one sound clip right out the
Sure.
gates, just for an example. We'll get into this, but Tango and Cash, who are the two hottest cops in the city, most respected, busting so many criminals, get very easily framed and shunned by society, their fellow police, and everyone, the news media, the fake news, all that stuff. And they're sitting there in court as all these people testify against them. And every single thing they say is a one-liner calling the people like Motormouth or what, like stupid nicknames. And there's a guy who's a little chubby, but by no means Jabba the Hutt worthy. But this is what they say to a guy who's testifying against them. Clip 3.
When this is over, we have to pay Jabba the Hutt here a visit.
I'll bring the chainsaw.
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
I'll bring the beer.
Okay.
That's the best thing, is that the one-liners don't even make sense.
I know. I sort of wish they would have kept going, like telling us what they were going to bring.
Yeah.
Just like random stuff.
Hey, can you bring the potato chips?
Like, I'm going to bring the flu shots.
So you gotta get the flu
It's
shots.
really important for your health,
I mean,
your long-term health.
Here's the other sidebar. If you're in court being convicted of murdering an informant, maybe don't insinuate that you're going to drink excessively and hack someone up with chainsaws in the earshot of other police and your
right
lawyers.
by that microphone. They always do the thing in court where they hold their hand over the microphone as
Does
if
this
they're
work?
not in the same
Can you
fucking
still hear
room.
me? I'm pretty sure you can still hear me.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Okay. It's so funny. So this movie is fantastic because there's, like, at least in Schwarzenegger movies, the puns make sense. Like things like in Commando, when he kills the guy, he snaps the guy's neck and then makes him look like he's asleep on the plane, and he's like, "Please don't wake my friend. He's dead tired." Or things like what does he say? "Welcome to the party, Richter." Like, some things make sense. Or, "Hey Benny, remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied." Or,
It's
here's
not
a
a
couple.
tumor.
Here's a couple of acres.
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. Things like that. Although that confused. I remember.
my favorite one.
It's my favorite troll.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this movie's awesome. What did you think? That's what I thought of it. What did you get out of it? Because you'd never seen it either.
I'd
This is
never
one of
seen
the rare examples where we hadn't seen it.
Yeah,
either of us.
both went in blind. I sort of had the same reaction. It was just like they set it up in a way that, like, okay,
Instantly,
don't worry about this. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a great way.
Don't like put your reading glasses on. This is just. Just sort of sit back and, like, it is what it is and whatever. Like, there are 100,000 things where you could be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like you just said. Like, it was so easy for them to get framed.
So
People
easy.
turned on them immediately. The way they got framed was, like, the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen.
No sense.
Just, like, a dead guy with a wire, and, like, the moment they get in there, everyone rushes in.
They're like, "Hey, fuck you, fuck you!" They're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
wait, you're the cops in the newspapers? I don't give a shit. You're here, and this is your gun." And it's just, it was so
And then
ridiculous.
my favorite trope, and this sort of like bled into TV, as far like during the like CSI phase, where like every single occupation related to a crime scene was investigating the crime, and you're like, wait, they just are like doing the DNA. They're not like interviewing suspects. What's going on here? But the same sort of thing happened in this movie where they're like the two most well-respected cops in the city. Like, really, name a cop. Yeah. Can you name a cop?
Yeah.
Who knows cops?
Only in movies.
There are no celebrity cops.
Only
there are
in
none.
movies.
Yeah.
There's never a Jack Slater or like Tango and Cash in real life.
Right. And if
If there is a cop that's famous, it's for the
it's
wrong
for the
reason.
wrong, they're bad cops.
Wrong
It's
reasons.
Mark Furman.
You just want to be like, you want to be an under the radar good cop in real life.
And
you don't want to make the papers.
And I've been saying this a lot recently. We're going to jump around a little bit here because there's just a bunch of things that I want to like hit before we get to the plot. But like the fact where he's like, I think he's going to trial, and his commanding officer is like you have the money, you have this, you have that.
Yeah.
What?
For the thrill.
For the thrill.
The adventure.
If a fucking police officer said to his superior, "I'm a police officer for the thrill of it," do you know how quickly he's off the force? Immediately.
Oh, cool, you're a thrill seeker.
Not what we're looking for.
Nope. We're looking for level-headed individuals who can protect and serve and make life and death choices.
Care about the law.
And care about the law.
Yeah.
The thing that, because the first scene with Stallone is ridiculous, but then they ratchet it up a notch with Kurt Russell, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
Because it's that chase sequence in the parking garage is riddled with amazing things. But before we get into all that, because I could just talk about this movie for hours and we only have 43 minutes, let's do the plot in under 3 minutes. Are we ready in the booth? Okay, as the giant plane flies overhead, here we go. And start the clock. Okay, so we got Stallone starting off. He's like, hey, I'm going to chase this guy in the semi. It's a suspicious vehicle. And they say, we can't cover you anymore. He gets out in front of it. He keeps shooting at it with a 6-shooter. They slam on the brakes right in front of him, fly out of the windshield. The cops show up. They're like, you fucking asshole. There's nothing wrong with this. And he shoots the bottom of it, and cocaine comes out. Hey, anybody wants to do some drugs? Then Kurt Russell shows up.
Kurt Russell figures out that someone messed with his gun. Or someone was trying to kill Kurt Russell, right?
In his closet. He just randomly appears through the glass in his closet.
Let me back up. Someone was trying to kill Kurt Russell, and then he chases him out. He has this huge chase in the parking lot.
That's my favorite
where they
scene in the
ruin
whole
every
movie.
single car. They do the police thing in movies where the police is like, let me use your car to the civilian. The civilian's like, no. And so he like ruins that car. But he grabs the guy and he brings him in, and they're like, no, he doesn't speak English. He's like, give me a second with him. He realizes someone messed with his gun. Maybe someone replaced his gun, we find out later.
Yeah.
But so he goes to the guy who's just like roaming free in the bathroom, and he grabs him and he like makes him tell him who sent him, and then he goes to that guy.
Yeah, he goes to that guy, and then they both get. Then you meet Terry Hatcher, Stallone, and you can't tell if they're lovers or what. And then you find out way later the brother and sister, which they did intentionally, I realized, but I was annoyed with at first because I couldn't figure it out. And then they end up going and they follow Ponytail Guy, who they both figured out is tied in to a big crime, and they think they're gonna find this big drop, but instead they find a dead informant with a wire on him. FBI busts in, they're like, you're under arrest! Then we go this big long trial sequence where everybody testifies against them, and the foremost expert at audio happens to have the audio recording as well, which already is fishy. They go through a million one-liners. They get thrown in jail. They're supposed to go to a cushy prison. They get thrown into the worst prison on Earth.
Just-
like Oz looks like Candyland.
They're like
compared to-
littering fire. And so they're walking through and they're like, they wouldn't put us in general population, but they do put them in general population. And then they're I guess, rooming with people who don't care, but then are extracted by people who hate them and throw them down the laundry chute. And then they're about to lower them into water to electrocute them.
They do.
They start doing it and they're about to kill them. And then the guy that Kurt Russell trusts comes in.
Yeah. Somehow.
And he's like, I'll help you escape.
There's also a dude with a really weird jawline the entire movie who looks like a garbage pail kid grown up.
Right.
And so they end up figuring out how to escape through this fan. They get double crossed. The buddy that Kurt Russell trusts dies. They end up zip lining down an electric wire, and then they get free. They go and they find out. They find the limey guy. They put a grenade in his mouth, and they find out the more information where Jack Palance is holed up. And take it away.
Oh boy! And Terry Hatcher and Kurt Russell maybe start something, and Stallone like keeps on him like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And then they go and they go to the magnifying glass guy, and they get a truck, and they drive to the place where all the cars are. It's like a monster truck rally for some reason.
Fantastic.
And the guy has Terry Hatcher, and then he's in a mirror thing, and Stallone shoots the mirror, and they shoot the right guy, and then he dies, and then the thing blows up, and
then they high five, and then it's say we're cleared of charges. Yeah, we're heroes. We did good.
Yeah, we
good
did.
job bringing it home.
Thank you so much. That might have been a first.
Let's just dig right into this because this movie.
I also do want to say right up front, we didn't discuss it. We discussed it briefly. We may or may not have a treat for you guys after the show. A little video that we took before the show of exactly what we promised last time.
Or we may definitely.
Decided. We definitely have it.
You witnessed the procedure or the thought process that goes into the opening.
And then immediately after I hit stop on the video, I said to myself, fuck, I shouldn't have pressed stop.
Because
it went going another 10 seconds, and I was like, oh, he changed it.
Because if you notice in the beginning, I said Rambo is a wussy. And let's just play that clip. So this is one of our first clips with Stallone when we're introduced to him, and they're saying, and the cops yelling at him because he's out of his jurisdiction, and he stopped these semi-truck drivers that were just minding their own business. Clip number 1.
We checked the whole truck, asshole. There's nothing in it.
He's Superman.
And you're out of your neighborhood, big city boy. I want your badge. I want your weapon. I want your ass. Who in the fuck do you think you are?
He thinks he's Rambo.
Rambo is a pussy.
This movie's so on the nose with like every reference it's making to every so the guy was from Conan. the barbarian, or no?
I don't. They just called him.
Can
Conan.
you see,
They kept
Steve? Can
calling
you
him
see
Conan.
who the dude with the weird jaw is? If you're able to look him up on IMDb,
He might be credited as Conan in this movie
He
because they
might
called
be.
him that a bunch.
It's so fun. It's so ridiculous. So that sequence, just opening it up with him staring down a semi truck with a tiny ass 6-shooter. And unloading it into the car, and then instead of the guys just ducking and ramming into Stallone and killing him, they slam on the brakes, and then somehow by slamming on the brakes, they launch out of the windshield and onto the ground.
Right. When they stop, not when they slam on the brakes.
It's like, which would just make you go, huh, not,
Right.
It's so good. So you know what you're in for.
Right.
That clip happens with the world's angriest / worst police investigator.
It's the best also because like we hit some sort of like jurisdictional confrontation, and you think that like
What else has Robert Zadar been in?
You think that that's going to be a conflict as we go through the movie, and it's just not.
No.
It's like the one time just to like sprinkle it in there.
I wasn't expecting them to go to jail at all.
No.
And I didn't see that plot twist coming at all. And I kind of thought that was really interesting because the movie became, instead of just a standard buddy cop movie, it became like The Great Escape meets Lethal Weapon.
Right.
Is what they kind of were going for.
Right. But there were just so many things where it was like, we have a general idea of how this works, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And so the like jurisdiction thing, and then like later in the movie when Stallone's like, I put everything I have into this profession. And it's like, have you seen someone say this before in a movie? Because like, like who refers to their job as their profession unless it's been brought up to them? It was just like a weird, like everything in the movie was sort of like, we have
like Tommy Wiseau wrote it.
We've seen a movie about this, and so we know that this is how it kind of works.
It's like the buddy cop action movie Great Escape version made by The Room director Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
It's like where it's just broad stroke generalizations
Everything
of like, hey, this is what we do. And the bad guy, Jack Palance, in this is hysterical to me because as Stallone is being yelled at, Jack Palance and his the dude from Big Trouble in Little China and another guy, I don't know who he is, some like Russian or German or English terrorist, I don't remember, or bad guy, ill-defined bad guy number 3.
Yeah.
They just roll by in their limo going, Tango and Cash, Tango and Cash.
Right.
They're always ruining my fun. And it's like, this guy, is he that clandestine that nobody would be like, hey, isn't that him right there? I guess so. I guess he's so behind the scenes because they didn't know who he was till the end.
I guess, well, like that he would be so behind the scenes, but I think people would still know if you have an empire, like even if you're not known to be the head of like this drug ring or whatever is going on. Like it took us kind of a while to like, we never really dug deep on what it is.
I still don't know what they're doing. Running a lot of guns. There's a lot of guns in a warehouse.
They had cocaine in that truck.
Yeah. All around criminals.
Right. Yeah. They have a criminal empire.
They're like the Walmart of criminals.
Exactly.
They got a little bit of everything.
That's exactly right. Even if you're not known to be the head of that, if you have benefited in any way, like you have enough money that people are like, I know that guy.
I know that guy.
Usually they're like a philanthropist or like they do something on the other end.
Like,
that,
in Kingsman, Sam Jackson's character, who's a philanthropist, and then we find out is a supervillain, but people all know who he
right.
is.
Everyone knows who you are.
There's usually no one who's so shadowy. But hey, in this one he is. So we're going to accept that as a reality.
Also like so shadowy that no one knows you, but for some reason, not to harp on this, for some reason you know the names of 2 local cops.
Well, because they always keep busting his rings of, you're saying the people, the public know the 2 cops, but not this clandestine guy.
Yeah, I mean
both.
Okay. The people, but also him.
But Jack Palance knows them because he has video of them, but I don't know where he gets the video from unless he just has, but I guess he has security cameras on all. Okay, so before the detail police hit me on the comments page, he has video cameras on all of his stashes, so I get that. So he has, and he just apparently makes like an America's Funniest Home Videos compilation of all Tango and Cash's busts, and then rewatches them for motivation to just get
motherfuckers.
And then the 2 other bad guys that are always like, couldn't we just kill him? And it's like, no. We're going to set them up. It'll be so easy. And turns out it's surprisingly very easy.
Yeah,
really easy.
They didn't count on them being able to escape, I guess.
So let's get into the car chase when Cash gets home. So Cash gets home. We find out that they're both kind of hotshots, but in a different way. Tango gets all the spotlight, and Cash is like on the bottom corner of the front page.
Yeah, he's below the folds.
Yeah, but arguably they're both doing the same kind of work, you know. So anyways, Cash goes home. He's looking at himself in the mirror, and then something happens that I'd never seen in an action movie other than Last Action Hero, when he comes home and shoots through his closet, and a bad guy falls out, and he's like, "How'd you know somebody was in there?" He's like, "There's always the guy in there." You know, it's like I'd never actually seen that I could remember in a real non-parody action movie. So when it happened, I laughed hysterically when he's looking in the mirror and all of a sudden a bad guy's gun comes blasting through and he gets shot twice.
Yep.
Pretty close, even with a vest on. You're going to be in pain.
Sure. You're going to bruise at least, right?
And then he starts shooting back and the dude instantly runs, jumps out. They have this elaborate car chase in a parking structure where there's the most Russian man ever.
Yeah.
Which we'll play. Let's just play the sound clip because this is after he's stolen this guy's car, driven around, crashed this car. Cash crashes into another car where there's two people just fucking.
They're fucking
in the backseat of a car in the parking garage.
Well, we don't know if they're. To be fair, they're just naked.
They're just naked. Maybe they're
in
doing
the
a quick
trunk of the
change.
car. Maybe they're hot and they're tired. We don't know what's going on.
They're just taking a nude nap.
Yes.
Or it was cold and they needed body heat.
Yes.
So can we play clip number 2?
You crazy guy! What did you do with my car? I believe in perestroika! Welcome to America!
What?
Yep.
I think he says, I came here from perestroika?
Don't know.
This is going to show my ignorance for Russian geography, but I thought that was a phrase, not a country or state.
Truly don't know.
Let's look up
we about to look it
perestroika.
up?
We got the... See, you're helping us fact check as we go. This is cutting off the circulation of my head a little bit. This hat,
boy.
it doesn't really fit me, but
If you open up your mouth wider, it lets the air out.
There we go. So I thought, isn't perestroika like a phrase? Anyways, or a song? Or am I'm thinking of Frere Jacques.
Or is it a dessert?
Or is it a dessert? So this car chase is bananas. It's so silly. There's the bad guys barreling at him, and there's a random homeless woman with a shopping cart in a parking garage, like crossing a street. They throw in every single car chase cliche.
But in the garage.
In a garage.
Yes.
Which makes no sense.
Yes.
But I love it.
Yes.
I love every minute of it. What does it say? The policy or practice of restructuring or reforming a political system. Oh, okay. So it's like restructure. I don't know how that fits in the context of this then.
Maybe
but
that's
hey,
not what he said.
He definitely said perestroika.
Or, again, maybe it's just something where they were like, I know a Russian word. Let's use perestroika.
Like Team America?
Yeah.
When it's just amazing. Oh, that's incredible.
But I also
on
on their way to that car chase, they both jumped off balconies.
3 stories high.
If you feel like it, watch this movie and play a little drinking game. Only drink water. Stay hydrated.
Or you will
Stay
die.
hydrated. Every time one of the characters jumps off of something and lands on the ground with no cushion and is fine.
I don't know about you, but I don't know the last time you were at a park. I went to
a couple weeks ago.
I take my daughter to the park and go on the swings with her, and Renee was pushing her the other day, and I was swinging next to him, and I got really high, and Renee made the joke of like, oh, you're gonna turn inside out, and I was like, no, I'm gonna jump off. I thought it'd be cool and like jump off just from a swing.
Sure.
And landing with my 36-year-old ankles
Yes.
on the hard pavement from a swing. I thought I snapped them off. It hurt so bad.
Both ankles.
Let alone jumping 3 stories out of a building
Right.
onto cement.
Right.
This was like cushy
And fall,
kids' playground.
None of the
foam.
falls were graceful. Zero of them. They just like plopped. Yeah.
They don't even do like the superhero pose where they do like take a knee.
No.
Those are the best.
No, or like the somersaults out of it.
Yeah.
That's my
How
favorite.
do they do that?
I don't know.
I mean, they are super
You risk
strong.
spinal damage if you do that.
Oh my God. Yeah, play a drinking game for every time they do that. So then I wrote in my notes, Terry Hatcher, ellipses, wow. Yeah. She is beautiful. Not that Terry Hatcher isn't beautiful now, but I hadn't seen her at this young before. It's like, I was like, holy crap, she was gorgeous, and she still is, but I was like, Jesus Christ, no wonder she was like a sex symbol back in the day,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And she's still feisty. She was on Desperate Housewives. She was a fox, man.
Sure was.
So-
Those housewives were
They were not
desperate.
They were desperate.
Oh boy.
So we get introduced to her, and we hint at that she's working at like some kind of club that Stallone's not cool with. And I assumed that they were like brother and sister because they didn't seem to have any romantic relationship, but you don't really find that out till later.
And because we never heard from her again.
Again,
it was
till it's convenient for the plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has, I'll just skip ahead. She has the world's weirdest burlesque show ever. Where it's like, she's out there dancing and it's kind of hot and sexy. Then she like takes off her top and she has this like sparkly bikini. And you're like, all right, I'm into this. Then she borrows drumsticks.
She starts screaming at the bartender, "My sticks! Where are my sticks?"
So weird.
Like, what the fuck is
She
happening?
just goes
And then
like
she starts
full
drumming.
on like Blue Man Group drumming.
Don't know.
You know, it's a weird taste. It's a fetish bar, and some people are into bikini drums.
It must be.
But I've never seen a burlesque show that does that. But hey, now I have.
I haven't been to enough of a variety of burlesque shows.
I did
that I could
stand
really
up.
speak.
I did stand up at one once.
Yeah.
And let me tell you that if you thought doing stand up comedy at that coffee shop we used to do, where like there's people on their laptops typing, wishing you weren't doing comedy during it as they write their rough draft of their shitty script, or maybe great script, who knows?
Who knows? Maybe second draft.
And other comedians going over their jokes before getting up, and that's it, and you get silence.
Yeah.
A burlesque show is almost as bad as
And
that.
the like milk steamer.
Yeah, it's almost, I don't think it's as bad, but it's a close second.
Sure.
Because there's these beautiful women doing these amazing dances, these really sexy, kind of fun, empowering routines, and then you come up like, hey guys, remember when you had your first boner? That's weird. And you're like, oh God, this is terrible. What am I doing? I mean, I didn't tell that joke. I don't even know if I have a joke
You
like
should
that.
have. Although, like, I imagine...
I should write that joke.
You should write it now. I imagine the people that were there for the comedy were, like, super there for the comedy. They were like...
I don't think anyone was there for the comedy.
But I'm saying, if there was a person there for the comedy, you would have had them. They would have been... I also really loved, for those of you listening but not watching, Ben has a microphone in front of him, and he just mimed holding a microphone.
I did.
Which was wonderful.
Hey guys.
Nice little detour.
Hey guys. Well, I didn't want to like clutch
No,
this
I totally get it.
and do the...
I understand why
thing.
you wouldn't use this microphone. It was just sort of a funny visual
It was a
for
little,
me.
well, you and I don't know if you know this, but Jesse and I have both done stand-up back in the day.
Yeah.
Jesse, you still do it occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah.
I haven't done it in like 2.5 years. It's been a while for me. What if I just went off into like sad Ben Affleck mode? Somebody just uses that as a meme.
Let's see it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Oh, you sing it, and I'll just do it. Yeah, wait, I'll say. Yeah, I haven't done stand-up in like 2.5 years.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Sorry, you're just so good at it. I just couldn't keep a straight face. You Simon and Garfunkel'd me. Anyways, yeah, I think that I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about Terry Hatcher, but the other
don't do stand up at a burlesque show. That was that long.
It was
tangent.
a weird ass burlesque show. But the other like thing that struck me when I was like, do they know what the fuck they're talking about? Was when she was like, "You've done so much for me already," and he was like, "Well, I could buy you a bond." They have like a 7 3/4 multiple, or like he said something where it was like, what?
I forgot about that.
What? Why would? What? Why would you buy her a butt? Why wouldn't you just give her cash if you're going to do something?
The only
very odd.
The only person that ever gave me bonds were my grandparents.
Right.
Every year for Christmas, and I still don't really understand what I was supposed to do with those.
Right.
I think I cashed them and I made like $25.
I got
over
them for my
18
bar
years.
mitzvah like 20 years ago, and now they're worth $50.
You're like, oh, thanks.
Sweet.
Great. So Tango and Cash, long story short, they both follow the same tip where they're following the limey, the guy with the ponytail with the world's weirdest British accent, like the most on the nose, cartoonish. Aye, we're gonna do this on Cockney, you know. Here we go. It's like if I try to do a Cockney accent.
I was saying before the show, I really hope that was his actual accent.
That was really. He's the dude from Blade Runner as well, who gets shot in the beginning.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. So then they find this guy dead. FBI busts in. It's this very elaborate trial where everybody just shits on him. Very quickly, we talked about how they get condemned from hero cops to scumbag killers, which makes no sense why everybody would turn on them, even in the age of like media spin.
Sure.
It makes no sense that there's no one. I have a hair dangling in the corner of my eye. There we go. Get rid of it. I was like, get the fuck out of here. It's like a cat, just like
going crazy.
But just like, what's Ben doing? But I remember thinking, like, Jesus Christ, everybody turned, not a single person, except for we find out later, like his one cop buddy and the assistant warden. That's it. Everybody else is like, fuck you guys. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. And we only, to be fair, we only saw the witnesses the prosecution witnesses.
Yeah, we didn't see the defense.
And like there
doesn't seem like there were any defense.
No, I know it doesn't feel that way. Anyone to be like, they're actually really good cops.
Hey, fuck you! Listen to the guy with the tapes.
Here, I have a montage of all their good work.
Jack Palance could have provided that.
Yeah.
So then we get to jail, and
so we have to talk about this jail.
Oh my god, it's the best. So they get sent to basically the prison from Virtuosity, where Denzel Washington is fighting, and in like it's like Pit Fighter. It's like it's crazy. It's like it's the most. If Face Off's prison looks more realistic than this prison.
There's so many things to talk about with this prison. So we're going to have to like take it step by step here. But they walk in and like I said, they're littering fire. Mm-hmm.
Which is the sign in the 80s and 90s of bad prisons.
Right. Just buckets of paper coming down.
Don't know how they light it on fire.
Don't know how it caught on fire. Don't know how all this paper got to the top floors.
I mean, I guess they have cigarettes and lighters, but you would think they would police that in their own cells a little bit more.
Or they would use it for good and not like for their own good. I mean, not just to be like, 2 new people, fuck them. Like,
well, and that's the other thing is that they put away most of these criminals. Right. And we find out later that the warden and everybody is under Jack Palance's paycheck. Sure. They're on his payroll, and that's it.
But so knowing that, right, they come in and somehow are the only 2 people naked in the shower together. So they've been sequestered in the shower to like develop a plan, I guess, even though the whole prison is against them.
There's no guards.
There's no guard, but there's also no scare. Like there's no accidents. Like when they were like, why don't we just kill him? They were like, no, we should trap him. But once they trap them, they can kill him and make it look like an accident. Yeah. And it's super easy to do just by, not that I think about this all the time, but if you're in prison, like accidents, like people would assume that something just happened, or like one of the inmates could like kill him in the shower. Him, like they ended up trying to kill him.
It's very elaborate to throw them down a laundry chute.
Yeah, why not just do it when they got there?
Let all of the prisoners out
for sure. And then, even though everyone is against them, like I said in the beginning, they get put in cells with people who seem to have no problem with them. The only 2 people.
Clint Howard, Slinky.
Yeah. The only 2 people in the whole prison who are just sort of like neutral to the idea of them.
It seems like the easiest thing to do would have just to put him in the prison in the cell with Conan and let him fight it out.
Yes.
So Jack Palance's plan is so flawed.
Yes.
It's like, we're not going to kill them outside. We're going to kill them in prison, but in the most elaborate way.
We're going to make it real difficult to do.
Possible.
Yeah, we're going to like challenge ourselves. And then when they do get them down.
It's like a Bond villain. It's so good.
It's nuts.
Now, mind you, we're making fun of this, but I love every minute of this.
It was like
silliness.
I said in the beginning, like you started and you're just like, okay, this is what it's going to be.
Here's where we're going.
But so then the plan is to throw them down the laundry chute. And I guess just like anybody can be anywhere at that point, right?
Because the entire prison apparently is let out of their cells without a single... And it takes a very long time for the assistant warden to show up with the cops.
Yeah.
Isn't there somebody somewhere on a camera who's not on Jack Palance's payroll that goes, oh man, what? That's weird.
Right.
Where are all the prisoners?
Right.
Huh.
It's kind of noisy in the basement. Yeah. No one's throwing paper off the top balcony.
Before we get into the electrocution, we do have to play Conan, the bad guy with the weird, I swear he looks like a Dick Tracy character, come to life. Can we play clip number 4?
Hey, punk. When I get out of here, I'm gonna tear you a new ass.
You know Captain Dynaball here?
Yes! Yes! I love John Conan the Barbarian.
Oh. If you need me and my ass will be in the neighborhood.
It's about if you need me and my ass will be in the neighborhood. You know?
Yeah.
That's actually I got in trouble with the HOA recently because there's a limit on pets.
Rules are rules.
And I didn't realize it, but I was just borrowing a donkey for a little bit of time. You know, and I had it in the backyard. It was fine, and the ex-president came over. He was getting real shitty with me.
Ex-president of the HOA?
Yeah.
Not Barack Obama?
No, not Barack Obama. Okay. He came by. He really liked the donkey.
He was down with the donkey.
But the ex-president of the HOA got real shitty. He started this whole fuss. He got all these people against me. We had this big meeting, and everybody realized that the donkey was really friendly, so they dropped it. And afterwards, I just looked at everybody, and I was like, hey, if you need me me and my ass would be in the neighborhood. And then they all were like, oh, cool. You can keep your ass in the neighborhood.
Perfect.
Yeah, I couldn't play the whole song because it wouldn't make sense.
I was excited.
Oh,
to
and
see
I love where he slams his face against the wall and instantly it like. I honestly, I don't mean to harp on this guy's face. He has the most interesting face I've ever. That I thought it was prosthetics at first until you look him up, and that's just. He's so interesting looking.
Yeah,
it's like and it looks like they burst his face open.
It does look like that. Yeah, he gets a cut right down where the.
I was worried that it actually happened in that moment, like when Tom Sizemore's nose gets broken in Natural Born Killers by Juliette Lewis for real.
Yeah,
and he went with it.
Could have been.
Well, Tom
could have been.
Yeah. Hey. So, anyways, we got Garbage Pail Kid saying that thing, and then so they're downstairs. They're surrounded by all these prisoners. The limey guy comes in and he's gonna cut Kurt Russell's throat. Jack Palance shows up, but in the shadows still, so that they can't really make out who he is. And Kurt Russell goes off the handle because he does not want to be killed by this British dude. Can we play clip number 5?
You want to cut my throat? Go ahead. Huh? You want to cut my fucking head off and use it for a fucking basketball? You can bowl the motherfucker for all I care. Just don't let him do it. I don't want to get killed by this limey immigrant jerk-off. I want to get killed by an American jerk-off.
That's my favorite part at the end when he goes, I want to get killed by an American jerk off. It's so good.
You have to have standards if you want to be killed by.
Sadly, in our current state of affairs, we're more likely to be killed by an American jerk off.
Unfortunately. I was wondering when they were like lowering them into the water and like so they were just being held up by their shoulders, right? They were just tied up by their shoulders.
Yeah.
Why didn't they lift their feet up?
I think their feet were tied a little bit.
But they were tied to each other, right?
I don't know. I think that there had to have been a reason. Maybe
Did
not.
there have to be?
Here's the thing. I'm pretty sure also if you put like a cattle prod or whatever that was into water when someone's in it with metal chains on, for even the few seconds they did, it felt like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Yeah, it might cause more problems
than just. I tasered myself with a 9-volt battery taser once in the neck for a split second on accident. I was doing a sketch. And I thought, oh, I don't need to take the battery out.
Was this?
No, this was no. Hey, we're in that together. You should see Crank 3 Merry Cranksmiths. I probably pimped it out on here before, but check out Crank 3 Merry Cranksmiths. This one was a Stephen Mortimer joint when I played that character that went around interviewing cosplay people. Anyways, I for some reason shocked myself in the neck and I didn't take the battery out. And I actually did it in the camera. I was filming myself and the camera flew out of my hand. I seized up my whole body and dropped to the ground from a split second on my muscle from a fucking 9-volt taser. And then the rest of the day, my neck ached and I had a headache and my face was tingly. They would have been dead.
They probably would have been dead
16 times.
Yeah.
Or at least needed resuscitated by CPR.
Right. Yeah.
So, but hey, we're in Tango and Cash.
And then they immediately jumped off of many balconies and
perfectly fine.
So they're fine.
Oh shit, we gotta speed this along a little bit because I could talk about the prison alone. Clint Howard, I worked with him on Funhouse Massacre. Super nice guy, awesome dude. I was so stoked to see him.
Slinky,
you're talking Slinky, about? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then how I love when they cut back to him and Tango has wrapped him up and pinned him to the bed with his Slinky, which Slinkies aren't that strong.
No, they're not.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, unless you really got to wrap that around to. I also don't think they stretch that much.
They're pretty stretchy. I will give Slinkies stretchy. I will not give them stability.
Yeah. What is it? The tensile strength? I'm going to say that.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
I don't know what that means. I'm just saying things so I sound smart. So the everything all hell breaks loose. Oh my God! I forgot about the Cash sliding on his knees and uppercutting the dude in the nuts in the prison fight scene was fantastic. Tango smashes the dude through the laundry machine. It's like this epic prison brawl before they get hung up and electrocuted. And then the assistant warden shows up. You think everything's fine. And then he instantly takes him somewhere where apparently no other... Like everybody's on the payroll, but the assistant warden is just able to take these guys away and nobody follows.
They just have a free space to discuss an exit strategy. Like, what?
It doesn't make any sense.
What?
But I love it. I don't care.
And so they're discussing the escape plan, and they're like, "You're gonna go this way." And is this Stallone who's like, "What about this way? It's quicker." And they're like, "No."
And they said that's way more difficult. And I think it's because it's the way they end up going.
Yeah, but it's just be like. No.
You could have just said that's a plan B if all else fails.
If all else fails.
So long story, let's skip ahead to when they escape.
Yes.
First off, Kurt Russell goes to try and get Stallone out of saying, hey, this is the time we're going to escape. And Stallone doesn't trust him because he thinks they're going to set him up. Turns out he doesn't set him up. The warden actually gets killed, and then the guys come through. But before that, Kurt Russell's trying to convince him, and he's pissed off at him. Clip number 6. Number 6? Yeah. Oh, you lost control. Oh, hey, we'll keep going until you get control. Are we still live? Oh, okay. Ooh. As long as we're live, that's fine. We'll wait till the computer comes back. So that
I'm gonna lose control in solidarity.
He's escaping through the vents. He goes up to where there's this big fan. They kill the power to it. He's able to escape through, and then it turns back on. The bad cops come in after they kill the ward. The assistant warden comes rolling down, neck slit, and you think he's trapped. But then Tango shows up with a fucking pipe and shoves it into that fan blade, and boom, they can escape. They go up to the roof, and they do the most incredible zip line down a live electric wire with a rubber belt that I've ever seen.
And they make a point to be like, this is the only way.
Yeah.
And they like to get up there. They're like, this is the only way to get out of here. And then
it's incredible.
And then Conan.
The stunt's actually really awesome when they jump, and like just the stuntman to jump and grab onto that is impressive as shit.
And impressive that they could both do it.
Yeah.
And both survive.
Yeah.
But and then Conan
let us know
comes
when you're
up,
back up.
Conan comes up swinging the.
Yes!
What would you even call that? I don't even know.
I don't know. I forget. What is he swinging?
It looks like a bear trap, like an open bear trap,
Sure.
but just with spikes.
Yeah. And he gets knocked back into the electricity and fries, and it's fantastic.
Yes.
The only way it would have been better is if he exploded into bits like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Or if a shark had pushed him into glass and he had exploded.
Yes.
As we all know, scientifically would have made sense.
Scientifically would have made sense. So we will get to the sound clip eventually here once the computer stops freaking out. They zip line down. They split off and they go about things. There's the weird, wacky inventor dude with the magnifying glass that I said looks like Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life. We've never met before.
Nope.
Never any reference. Usually when you have a character like this, you establish him early on, and then he can be Cash's ally later. But when it's an hour into the movie, might as well just throw in a new character that should have been well established. But I don't mind because it's a hilarious scene where he has all these. That's where it explains. Cash I forgot to mention this, he has a boot gun.
His boot gun.
He has a gun that shoots out of his boot.
That he used once.
If I had a boot gun, I'd be using that shit all the time.
Yeah.
I'd be boot gunning all the bad guys.
I might boot gun the floor just to see if it would launch me.
Just think you can Iron Man that shit.
Yeah.
It'd just be like a leapfrog, like a boom.
Based on everything I know about this jail, there's no way he could have brought that into jail.
Yeah, I feel like you could have boot gunned and they would have never noticed.
They would have never
noticed. How are we doing? Is it all right, let's do. This is when Kurt Russell trying to convince Stallone to leave.
Seriously? You are one major mistrustful, maladjusted human fucking being, you know that?
Yeah, well, I love you too.
That's sweet.
It's very bromantic.
Yeah, it is.
It's very bromantic. I don't know if I have anything to say about that in real life.
You've never felt that way about
I've never felt that way about anybody.
Let's just hear it again.
Let's just hear it again because it's so good.
Seriously? You are one major mistrustful, maladjusted human fucking being, you know that?
Yeah, well, I love you too.
Human fucking being, you know that? Now we're gonna play number 7-2, which is when they're leaving and they're trying to get through the electrical barrier, the electrical equipment that they're gonna then zip line down from. Can we play that?
Know what? What? I'm getting real tired of electricity. Nag, nag, nag.
Now, I do have a story about this. It's my wife gets annoyed with me every once in a while because I have a tendency to complain when she leaves the lights on. And I came through last night and I just shut everything off because she had all the lights down in the basement. I know that she wants lights on for our daughter, but we don't need every light on. And I shut them all off and I looked at her and I said,
Know what? What? I'm getting real tired of electricity. Nag, nag, nag.
and I was like, fine, turn them back on.
Well, was your daughter reading?
She was not reading.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, so then turn them off.
I get tired of electricity in my house. What can I say?
So
what can I say?
Similar.
Can you put the clock back up too, Steven, so we know how much time we got? Thank you, sir.
Similar story with not my wife, but an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we used to get in big fights all the time. But we would always, like, after the fights, we would, have these, like, long, drawn-out conversations, and we'd make up, and we'd be like, yes, here's the spark. This is it. We have the spark. And it's just that electricity between us. And then finally, when enough was enough, I was like...
Know what? What?
It happened.
I'm getting real tired of electricity. Nag, nag, nag.
Because you needed more.
I did.
And you found more.
Yes. A constant power source.
Constant power. Our source of renewable energy. It's,
Southern California Edison.
So then we go to the Cleopatra Club, which we talked about.
Yes.
We already talked in length about the world's weirdest burlesque dance. It's still somewhat hot because Terry Hatcher is fantastic. Then they go home, and Cash has a pain in his... Oh, first, Cash escapes because the cops come in by dressing in drag for one scene.
Yep.
One scene only, just to have a couple funny moments of him telling a cop to fuck off and then going off on a bike with his legs spread and the skirt hiking up. It's hilarious. He looks ridiculous.
Yep.
It was a precursor to Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar.
Yep.
Which I never saw, but I'm sure it's awesome.
I saw the beginning of it.
There we go. Well, maybe we'll do it on here if anybody wants us to. So then they go home. He has a kink in his back, probably from all the jumping off of
One or two slip discs.
the 3-story buildings he keeps jumping off.
Right.
And she's giving a massage to him when Stallone comes in, and it goes from a friendly massage to as sexual of dialogue as humanly possible.
Yes.
With awkward moaning from her too, as if she's getting some sort of enjoyment from his massage.
Right.
I haven't had a lot of massages in my life, but all of the ones I've had, the masseuse has never been like, oh, it's almost in, it's almost there, when they're like working on a muscle or something.
Right.
And no, I've never had a happy ending massage. I'm too big of a germaphobe. They'd have to have gloves on. I'd have to wonder if they cleaned up after the person before me. There's all kinds of logistics.
I want to maximize my massage time.
Yes,
so I would
I
never
can do that
want
at
the
home.
happy ending.
I can't massage myself at home. I can't massage my own back.
Paying for 60 minutes of
Yes.
massage. Don't waste time.
Don't waste time doing something I am perfectly skilled at and have practiced for years.
I have Southern California Edison for that. I don't know.
I just got what that meant. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, so it's the most sexual dialogue where she's like, oh, she's talking about a slipped disc.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, right there, it's almost in. And she's like, oh, it's almost in. Right when Stallone shows up, like, hey, you fucking my sister? And then this is one, I don't know if you noticed this is one of my favorite moments in the movie. There's a guy that shows up in the screen door. Stallone jumps over, grabs this duck from the table, this wooden duck, crashes through the screen door gets obliterated, and in the very next shot it's perfectly fine and the guy's being choked underneath the screen. I took photos of it, I'm gonna post them, but it's brilliant because it shatters, the screen rips, the frame breaks, you cut to Stallone, he's like, what are you doing here? And then you cut back, it's perfectly framed, the screen's intact, and it's their old police chief like, hey, get off me. It's amazing. This movie's filled with continuity errors that are so funny to me. It's hysterical.
I missed that one. I usually catch those, but
I rewound it 4 times.
I think the reason I missed it is because I was so stuck on why Sylvester Stallone hung out for so long.
Yeah.
What?
Potentially watching his sister.
Fucking weirdo. He just stands there.
He just goes like this.
I know, he's like...
It's like he walked in on his sister watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or something. He's like, ugh, this show again. Yeah. It's like, no, if you think your sister's, you go, hey, or you get the fuck out of there and knock.
Yes.
Yeah.
You make your presence known in a non-awkward manner. And then, I know we're probably going to get to it, but he then spends the next 20 minutes of the movie being like, did you fuck my sister? And Kurt Russell being like,
Yeah, but you could have turned around and saw that neither of their clothes were off.
Everyone had their clothes on.
And unless he was, and Kurt Russell was laying on his stomach, so unless his junk is so big that it looped around and like Captain hooked up in, you know, in the world of Tango and Cash, it's very possible.
Who knows?
Maybe the writer of this didn't know about sex either.
I would not put it
broad
past.
strokes. Broad strokes.
Quite literally.
So they get a tip from their captain that the limey, they know where he's going to be. So they go, and Stallone puts a gun to his head and says this fantastic line, clip number 8.
Shame. Don't you know ponytails are out this season?
And that's quickly why we learn that the reason Stallone has never played a British person that I know of.
Sure.
Can we play that again? Because if you thought the limey's accent was bad, Stallone's is worse.
Shame. Don't you know ponytails are out this season?
It's so... I love it so much. Oh, you can just tell they had a blast making this movie. Shame. Don't you know ponytails are out this season? So they play this awesome good cop, worst cop game is what they call it. As they put him on the roof, they hold him over the edge. He's not budging, so they put a grenade in his mouth. And Kurt Russell goes like, "Oh, you're fucking crazy, man. I'm not going down for this." And then the guy tells him everything. And then they throw the grenade down his pants. It's a dud. But then this henchman that's tried to kill him, that got him set up, that is clearly working for the main bad guy, they just leave tied up on the roof. They don't knock him unconscious. They don't call the cops. They just leave him to come attack them later.
Sure.
So, that'll pay off soon.
But he was tied up, Ben.
He was tied up. I mean, Batman does it all the time.
No one ever escapes from being tied up.
Exactly. Apparently. But in this world, they do.
They caught your boy with a slinky, and he wasn't able to escape. Why would they think that Rogue
You're right.
would? Yeah.
They were spoiled by Slinky.
That's exactly what it was.
It's not their fault. So they go back to Clarence, aka guy with the magnifying glass, and he has a prototype SUV with machine guns on the side, bulletproof.
This dude what does he do? He just is inventing stuff in the hopes that someone comes by and needs that exact thing.
I feel like he actually is auditioning to be the next Q for James Bond.
Yeah, okay.
And he's just waiting around with limitless funds, apparently, to just give these guys this car. And Kurt Russell's super pumped about this death machine. Can we play clip number 9?
This is a violent work of art.
Who holds the pink slip, Satan?
You could say the same thing about this movie. This movie's a violent work of art, and I'm pretty sure the pink slip is held by Satan.
Sure.
Because it is a definite violent work of art, this movie. Holy shit. You could say the current administration, actually, I think Chuck Schumer actually described it as this after the State of the Union address. Chuck Schumer came out and said,
"This is a violent work of art."
And then Elizabeth Warren said,
"Who holds the pink slip, Satan?"
And then Fox News just said, "You Democrats!"
Classic.
You Democrat, Tucker Carlson.
You know what? You know what's interesting is I actually had microphones and cameras in that HOA meeting with you.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and the donkey.
Oh shit, really?
And before you even got in there, there was just chaos, and people were screaming, and no one was happy, and there was one advocate for you, who was like, "Yeah, this is shitty, but it's beautiful." And he said,
"This is a violent work of art."
Who holds the pink slip, Satan?
And that's how they sort of
okay.
They reconciled the two sides came together.
I could see that.
And so you came into a much tamer situation than had been there prior.
I'm glad that you A, wiretapped my meeting just in case shit went down, and B,
what are friends for?
That you told me that, because I didn't know that until now. Just out of curiosity, do we have any more time than that, or is that it? Yes, I just want a couple more minutes. That's it.
We just need
17. Because holy
just 17
shit.
minutes.
So they get in there,
4.
and by the way, there's no thing they do, they don't case out the joint. They don't figure out a blueprint plan ahead of time, a blueprint, anything. They just take this violent work of art, slam it through the front door, and then increasingly get surprised by the odds that they're put up against with these construction vehicles and giant cranes and a myriad of trucks with machine guns and things that come about in, like you said, the world's most violent monster jam / destruction derby. They're just really surprised that they weren't better prepared for something they prepared zero.
Not at all for. And right before it,
so good.
This is another broad strokes line, which I loved, was when Sylvester Stallone looked at Kurt Russell and he goes, if anything happens to me, just know that you're the greatest cop I ever worked with.
It's like what?
You haven't worked with him. What?
Oh my God.
You were in prison with him.
Yeah, you guys escaped.
You guys have not done cop work together.
Also, I'm pretty sure you guys don't really work with other cops. You're lone
you guys
guns.
were solos the whole time.
It's so amazing. So they crash through. There's rocket launchers. They accidentally blow up their own car with a rocket launcher at one point. Their car's on fire. And I specifically wrote, they just came in half-cocked, blasting away. Like, there's no plan. They get blocked in by the bad guys, but... Oh, they're like, they're blocking us in here. And it's like, no, you crashed into their completely enclosed base.
This is on you.
With no exit plan. They're not boxing you in or anything. You done fucked up.
You
is
put
what
yourself
happened.
there, yeah.
So they shoot a random guy on a rig that just blows up. Everything blows up then. Like, the whole thing, everything just starts exploding. And they trade guns, and this is our last sound clip where Kurt Russell gets real pissed when he gets Stallone's gun, the 6-shooter. Can we play clip number 10?
Here. Oh, wait a minute. Why is yours bigger than mine? Genetics, Pee-wee.
It's like, what? Because it's a callback to In the Shower when he's like, genetics, Pee-wee, and they like, I guess Stallone has a tiny penis in that moment or something is what he's insinuating.
I was confused not to like spend too much time on dick references in our last minute 45, but in the shower scene, I'm pretty sure, I forget which one of them called the other one Pee-wee, and then immediately called him Tripod.
Yeah, that was Cash calls Tango Pee-wee and then Tripod like back to back, and I'm like, you're giving mixed messages.
Do you understand
here.
What those two things mean?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because anyway, so there's some sort of buddy bromantic penis
We've
reference.
seen each other's penises.
Hey, we see dicks. Let's high five. So then they crash their big plan. Then is we're gonna fuck these guys up. They crash a big semi, like a construction rig, through a room full of an empty room full of guns. They don't keep going to hit the bad guy's base and more things. They just crash an empty room, shoot a bunch of dudes. Tango's sister is hostage, we find out. The limey dude comes back. Again, should have killed him or knocked him unconscious. They bring a random henchman we've never met before.
Yes.
Just so they both can have a fight scene.
Yes.
The best, though, is they just kick the random henchman onto a table, a glass table. He's done for. But the ponytail guy gets a grenade down his pants and kicked down a ramp and then blows up.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
That was badass. And then the mirror bit. Do you want to tell him the mirror bit to bring us home?
Yeah, so he's got Terry Hatcher holding her hostage, and he's in what I guess is a room full of mirrors.
Don't understand how
and
this
he
works.
has the gun cocked at them, and it's basically like, you have one shot, but there are 100 versions of me, so you better choose the right one because I'm going to shoot you.
I've never understood how that works because I feel like that would just, you could clearly tell.
Yeah, they would be there. They would be physically in front of you.
I've been in rooms with mirrors.
And it's not even a room. Like, they're outside the room, and he's in the closet, so you could just see him, I bet. But yeah, got it. And so they shoot him, and then the bomb has been set off, and so they have a couple seconds to run.
Not only
out
do they
of the
shoot
building.
him, bullets side by side in his forehead.
Yeah.
Identical.
And they're like, yeah, we both knew because of this. We're great cops. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, his ring was backwards, or his arm was in the gun was in the wrong hand. Yeah.
And so they take her and they run. But I don't understand why, if he had set the bomb off, that he was still hanging out in the place.
He wasn't going to get out of there.
He was not. He was going down with the ship. But they made it out, and then they high-fived opposite hands.
Yeah!
Yes.
And I wrote specifically that high five was manly as fuck,
Yes,
is
it
what I
was.
wrote.
Yes.
That's how you can describe this movie, manly as fuck. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking Tango and Cash. That is all the time we have for today. Can you tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Too Much Jesse, or for sketch at The Prom Losers.
All right, you can find me at the Ben Begley and us at Guilty Movie. Guys, keep the suggestions coming. We love them because sometimes we find gems like this that we sinfully had not seen before, so we appreciate this. This was a gift from our audience, so thank you. And also at Parents vs. Baby, my wife wrote our first blog, and we had a sketch we dropped today. It's like a 90-second super quick thing called Mom Brain, so check it out at Parents vs. Baby, and also parentsvsbaby.com. Until next week, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.